Hi folks, Mason here. I am a past master and have been instructing new Masons for a number of years. During the instruction process I have learned that many have been on social media and so much of our secrets and the meaning of the ritual have been compromised. Freemasonry as we know it is as old as recorded time, but in 1717 the Grand Lodge of England was started and blossomed to what we see today. Please, if you like my video and want to see more, hit the subscribe button down in the lower right corner. The first step in your journey in becoming a Freemason is to come of your own free will. If you know a Mason and wonder why he never has asked you to join, only until recently Masons were not allowed to ask. But in Florida we may ask one time and that's it. When the candidate enters the lodge, he is not yet his own master because he cannot find his own way and must follow his guide with perfect obedience. The cable tow is a mark of this fact. But it is also, like the hoodwink, a symbol of a wider truth. The truth, namely, that every man must remain under the control of others until he is able to control himself. Could all of us achieve self-mastery, there would be little need of courts, laws, and policemen to control our actions. Each of us would have the law within himself, self-operating. But too often we are led toward disorder by our own blind willfulness and pay the penalty by the humiliation of having others control for us the nature we ought to control for ourselves. So long as we are in that state, we wear a cable tow. The moment we escape it into the power and freedom of self-direction, we become masters and need not be led about by others. Our cable tow is removed. When a candidate arrives at the door of the lodge, he is not permitted to walk casually in. Entrance is a ceremony. This ceremony is a symbol of the fact that one can make entrance into any of the realms of human life only in a certain way, under certain conditions, according to certain laws. The whole of apprenticeship is itself a doctrine concerning this truth. It teaches that to arrive at the hint places of achievement a man must be qualified and must undergo a long preparation. Nothing that Masonry teaches is more needed by the world just now, when so many young men, out of a nervous impatience, rush into trades, professions, and callings without the necessary training. Worse still, such young men appear to believe that life itself needs no preparation and that the work of the mind, of morality, and of religion is something everybody understands instinctively from babyhood on. Such men rush into Masonry in the same way. The thought of undergoing a long ordeal of training, such as that which the operative apprentice was made to endure, would appall them. Perhaps if the craft revived something of the operative practice, at least in principle, and demanded that every candidate be thoroughly trained in Masonry, it would be better. It might be that fewer members would enter, but it is certain there would be less dead wood lying about the precincts of the temple. Circumambulation means to walk around, and refers to an ancient ceremony in which men walked about an altar, following the same direction as the sun. Every reader will instantly recognize the Masonic ceremony to which it applies. Men in ancient times had the belief that by imitating the sun, or some other natural thing or process, they would gain some degree of control over it to their own advantage. There was a kernel of truth in this belief, and it is that kernel which has been preserved in our own ceremony. In our modern way of speech, we call it cooperation. Not by working against nature but by cooperating with her do we win her fruits. Not in striving against our fellows, or through being at cross purposes with them, do we make achievements, but rather by working with them. We keep step with them, go in the same direction. Their course is our course. All work in common is a kind of circumambulation. The East represents Masonic light. Therefore, the apprentice is taught to approach it, just as the operative apprentice was taught to travel a long path in order to find light on the art he aspired to learn. What is this light? It is of course insight, knowledge, skill, learning, wisdom, information, whatever enables us to learn the nature of the things and forces with which we have to deal during every day of our existence. Our life consists of things, forces and activities in a bewildering variety. Unless we find a way to understand them, we shall never be able to live happily. Such an understanding is one of the most urgent of all necessities, hence it is set at the very forefront of the teaching of the craft, whose motto is, "Let there be light." The obligation of the first degree is at one and the same time a form of law, in a strict institution's sense, and a symbol of what the idea of obligation means in the world at large. The word obligation reveals its own meaning. Literally it is to tie, or bind, something to something else. The word ligament comes from the same root. A man may find himself under obligation in ways, by being in a position, as when he is the father of a family, by making a promise, by something, by pledging himself, by a contract. Also, an obligation sometimes is presupposed by the rights he may claim, by privileges he enjoys, or by the creed he professes. Sometimes he is held to an obligation by compulsion, as in a contract enforceable by law, at other times his word or his character is his security. To be under obligation, therefore, is to owe something, whether in goods, in services, or in being something, and the word owe is preserved in the word ought, which in principle covers all that is meant by obligation. The ideal in Masonry is that when a man becomes a master Mason, i.e., in complete possession and control of himself, he can always be depended upon to do what he ought to do, to be what he ought to be. About the apron many things may be said. It is the badge of a Mason, a sign of a man's being such, and as worn by the apprentice is a mark of his status. It is, because of its color, an emblem of innocence. It is a mark of distinction, more honorable than others because it represents honorable toil and constructive work. The world is not completed yet, but is being built. It owes infinitely more to those who create, who, even to a small degree, help to raise its pillars and to round its arches, than to those who have the lust to spoil, or the passion to destroy. Not only, therefore, is a Mason himself a builder, he is one who believes in the honor of upbuilding as one of the truest of all ideals, and by wearing his apron he testifies to that faith. The right of destitution, whereby a candidate confesses himself poor and helpless as well as blind, is another symbol nobody knows how ancient. Many Masons of olden times were wont to divide initiation into Masonry into two parts. First, there is a renunciation. The old life is put off, everything antipathetic to the new life is left behind. Honors, badges, and distinctions are discarded. They summed this up in the word off. Second, there was the preparation. This meant putting on the new, taking up the life of Masonry, the working for a different kind of honor and another kind of reward. They summed this up in the word on. The two words are reminiscences of St. Paul's adjuration to his hearers to put off the old man and to put on the new. The rite of destitution covers all that is meant by the putting off of the old. According to the old customs practiced by the operative Masons, the cornerstone of a building was laid in the northeast corner, if not actually, then ideally. Northeast stands midway between the north, region of darkness, for the sun never enters it, and the east, region of light. An apprentice is said to stand there because he is at the dividing line of the two, having left the darkness of the uninitiated behind him but not yet entered into the light of the new life. There is where he stands, and it is there that he must begin his building. Furthermore, the apprentice as he stands in the northeast is himself a symbol, for while thus standing he means that apprentices themselves are the foundation of the future craft, just as the trained youth is elsewhere the foundation of the world as it will be in the coming generation. I do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did in making it. And please don't forget to hit the subscribe button only if you would like more. So long for now. Hope to see you soon.